Yeah. So right now we've got 12 clients.
Nice.
One of them is that SaaS client who's like was
Nice.
one of the very, very early ones. So before we actually went into ecom,
Cool.
that was one of those, and the rest, yeah, it's all ecom. So
Love it.
in terms of revenue, it's kind of hard to tell because we've got a lot of ROAS deals and trying to accurately track those and build them is a bit interesting. But it's around 20k pounds right now. So on my Stripe is like 18, but we've got a few outstanding invoices, which always happens when you're trying to chase invoices. But it's somewhere around 20k, something like that.
Either way, from January to now, that's mad. Like that's big. 20,000 pounds is like $30,000, guys, and that's pretty impressive. Hi guys, Jordan here. So today I'm joined by Ciaran Finn from Bluefin Media, who's a member of the Affluent Academy, and he's doing an amazing job. You know the deal. I'm going to get these people on for an interview and you know they're going to be smashing it. And Ciaran's going to be sharing his story today and the things that he's done in his agency to get to the point he is today. Ciaran, thank you so much for being here, man. It's been a long time coming to get this interview set up. And I always like to start with a bit of like an introduction. So if you could introduce yourself to the guys and kind of let them know what brought you up to wanting to launch an agency in the first place?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Super excited to be here. So as John said, my name's Ciaran. I run Bluefin Media, primarily e-commerce now. We do have one SaaS client who was one of the first clients we signed, but now it's all e-commerce. So I always I knew I wanted to get into this space. The very first thing that I tried was like maybe 2-3 years ago, tried to do like SEO for a website and rank it. The business model was called rank and rent, if you've heard of that.
Yeah, I think so.
You basically get it to ranking for like something, generate leads, and then you can rent out the website or sell the leads, basically. Yeah. Completely flopped, completely gave up at like the first hurdle, wasn't even like vaguely motivated for it. But it was kind of my first taste. I was like, this is pretty cool. So then didn't do anything with that. And then you might find this funny actually, but first like way in was I traded that SEO course that I had with a friend who had your old social media marketing course. Watched that. And I was like, oh my God, this business model is insane. I was like, I need to get in there. So straight away was like, realized I had Affluent out. And I was like, obviously I'm going to buy Affluent because that first one was sick. I'm going to buy the updated version. And that was January this year.
Yeah.
So that was really it. I was really like a complete beginner going into like the agency model kind of side. So I didn't really know what an agency was, or that you could have someone paying you a pretty large amount of money on a monthly retainer for a service. That was that side of things was completely new to me, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, nice, cool. So you just finished university, so you presumably you're at uni when you actually started your agency as well. What's the motivator to then start in the business and move away from what you were doing? Like, what did you want to do before, and why did you have a change of heart?
Yeah, so I can't really remember. There wasn't really anything specifically that pulled me towards it. It was kind of a mixture of things. So I was studying triple languages at university at the time. I've always been interested in travel, so it took 2 years out before uni to travel. So whilst traveling, that was when I first kind of came across the concept of making money online. Like I was just traveling out there as a backpacker, but I came across people who were like digital nomads. That's kind of like, that's pretty cool. So you can make money, like a lot of money online, whilst living in a country where the living costs are like a quarter of the UK. I was like, that's a pretty cool concept. So it was kind of tied in with that, where I was like, that sounds pretty interesting. But then it was also, I've always just been really drawn to like something where it's like a challenge, something where it's quite difficult. Hated working for people when I was growing up. Never was anything that, like, I've had quite a few jobs, but it was always something that I've just been like, man, this is not for me, Like, first job I had was doing PPI, telesales on the phones.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I was pretty good at it. And I was like 17 at the time, 16, 17. I was making like £18 an hour, which back then was like a lot of money for like a 16-year-old still in sixth form. So, but I was getting paid £7 for every deal that I brought in. And these deals were like, they were getting a 3K refund from the bank, and the company was taking like 35% of that. And I was like, I'm getting paid £7 and I'm generating them like 400. like 500 or more. And I was like, this is pretty shit this. So that's kind of where it stemmed from, where I was like, yeah, if I'm in something like that, I want to do it for myself and get the full piece of the pie.
Yeah, gives you that spark when you realize how much money you're making from other people. I mean, so if the commission is like really fair, but like if you're working on like an under 10% commission or whatever, it's just like you end up kind of resenting the whole process.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
So how did you, so when you first launched in January, how did you find things like after the launch? Did you have a slow start? What was what were the things that you kind of encountered as to building you up?
Yeah, so it was pretty, obviously it's pretty difficult at first. It's always going to be super difficult, even with something like Affluent, where it gives you like a full roadmap. It's still going to be super difficult because at the end of the day, it's very different for every person. And there's always going to be a big element that you always going to have to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
And I think for me, because I'd never really done anything like that before, it's not just a case of like learning the business model and learning what to do. It's also a case of like learning how to manage yourself, learning how to actually work from home, set goals for yourself. And don't get me wrong, now I'm fully in the flow of it. And it's not, I wouldn't say easier to like just get on and do the work, but back then I didn't really have the trust in myself that I could do it. So kind of getting through that initial mental block was kind of like the hard thing.
Yeah.
But now that I've kind of really started to get traction with it, that mental block is kind of started to erode away. So it was kind of getting through that was tough for me, and obviously balancing it with uni. So
for sure.
It was, I was getting really annoyed of having like doing like an hour on the agency and then like an hour lecture. So I ended up getting up at 4 a.m. every day just so I could have like a 5 or half 4, just so I could have like a 5-hour block of like just agency and then uni stuff. Yeah.
Nice. Have you always been a morning person, or did you read The Miracle Morning by chance? Or
yeah, I did read it. I've always been like a bit of a morning person, but not like now. I get up at like, I mean, pretty much all of our clients from the US, so I'd like to get up a bit earlier, but I have to work until like 8 p.m. sometimes, just with calls and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, I generally like the mornings. I don't like lying in, and I'm pretty big on, I don't like to say performance, feel like that's a bit overused by performance coaches and all that stuff, but big on like, making sure that I can work at my optimum level.
Yeah.
Through getting enough sleep, through eating well, through structuring my day correctly, all that kind of stuff.
100%, man. It's really important. And I think one thing that a lot of people struggle with when they're first starting out is building that self-motivation. Like you're almost fortunate that you came from like, or you were in university whilst you have like, was studying the agency, because you have to be self-motivated in uni. Like if you don't go to lectures, if you don't get your coursework done, like you're not really getting much pressure apart from the fact that you won't actually graduate. But so some people that is.
Yeah.
No, I think,
and for us, it was all at that period, it was COVID. So all of uni was online. So I was literally living at home at that point anyway. I'd moved. So I was at uni in Liverpool. I'd moved back home to Manchester. So I was living at home anyway. So yeah, it fitted in quite nicely into like my day, kind of. Obviously, I would have rather not have uni.
yeah, for sure.
When I graduated, it was super nice because I suddenly had all this time that I could focus on. I was like, this is class. I like this.
Yeah, that's cool. So you are now, so you started the agency. You're doing it alongside uni. Did you start local? Did you go for e-commerce straight away? Like what was the score with that? And yeah, how did you transition into e-commerce if you did start local?
Yeah. So I tried starting local, and I kind of don't know what was going through my head. First, when I was thinking, right, who needs help now? It's middle of COVID. I was like, funeral homes, that'll work. and then I started reaching out to these funeral homes, and I was like, hang on, what is this Facebook ad going to be for funeral homes? Like, buy one, get one free. Like, what's going to happen here? I was like, obviously not. So quickly scrapped that idea. Then started going after like chiropractors, physiotherapists, stuff like that. Yeah. And I remember being on a sales call and pitching them £500 management fee a month. And they were like, ooh, that's really expensive. And from that call, I was like, mate, what am I doing here? Like, this is just not like, I'm sat here trying to convince them to pay 500 quid.
Yeah.
But then I knew I always wanted to get into ecom. And I was just like, fuck it. I don't really have the right now. I was like, I knew I didn't have the expertise in ecom. I didn't really know much about it. I didn't really know how to speak the language or anything, but I was like, the only way I'm going to learn is by just doing it. So kind of jumped in the deep end, and I knew that my growth would be slower in the ecom stage. I'd already signed a couple of clients, but I knew that in ecom, I would, there is going to be that learning period for me, but I knew that if I just sit down and learn, then the growth will be like that,
Sure.
Which it has been. So that was kind of what I did. That's what I chose to do because I knew from the start that was what I wanted to get into.
Well, I mean, being in the middle of COVID, like that's kind of the only choice you have, is really just try to reach out to e-com companies because brick and mortar retail was just it was just a no-go. So if anything, it's actually been good for you because it's just propelled you into the niche that ultimately people want to start in. Because what I say, I don't recommend people starting off in e-com, but in that situation, last year, it was like a green ocean opportunity for people to be picking up e-com clients. Whereas now you can reach out to local brick and mortar again, and people are more up for spending because they're open. But that was a blessing for you. So how many clients did you sign up quickly? What kind of state are you at in the agency at the moment with regards to revenue or clients?
Yeah. So right now we've got 12 clients.
Nice.
One of them is that SaaS client who's was one of the very, very early ones. So before we actually went into e-com, that was one of those, and the rest, it's all e-com. So
love it.
In terms of revenue, it's kind of hard to tell because we've got a lot of ROAS deals and trying to accurately track those and build them is a bit interesting. But it's around 20k pounds right now. So on my Stripe is 18, but we've got a few outstanding invoices, which always happens when you try to chase invoices. But it's somewhere around 20k, something like that.
Either way, from January to now, that's mad. That's big. 20 pounds is $30,000, guys, and that's pretty impressive, right? So you must have a pretty solid sales process in play. So did you follow the stuff from the academy? If not, what did you do different? What's your sales process?
So I think whatever you've got to do, you can't just take one thing and be cool, this is it, this is all I need. Everything you get, you need to look and be okay, this is a snippet into this. This is, how one person does it. Let's, find people who are doing this more and more and learn as much as you can. So straight away I knew that cold email was the one. So I really got into lots of different courses in terms of specifically around that. Paid for email consultants to help me out to consult on the emails, all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Then when I had it where it was, I felt like it was working pretty sweet, then it's just a case of volume. So quickly ramped up the emails to between 1,000 to 1,500 new leads a month.
Nice.
And then meetings were going okay. And it was actually until something I got from Adam Power, who's basically you need to just be a bit of a lunatic with your outreach and just not stop following up with people. So now I don't view cold email as a way to actually book meetings. Those automated email sequences that you send are really just a way to start the conversation. The booking comes in from you having to manually follow up after that, because all the time people say how much your service is, or what do you actually offer, do you do creative for your clients, and then they just disappear. So you need to, those are the ones really get heavy on. For me, it was when I started getting really heavy on using my CRM properly. Every single person who I was in a conversation with, just not stopping until you either get a no or until they come on board. Because at the end of the day, the way you have to think of it is I'm not going to reach out to a client who I'm not confident that I can help. So the way to structure it to where you don't feel like you're annoying people is you want to think that you're doing them a disservice by not signing them on, because you can help them increase their revenue. So why would you not chase someone until you can be, look, we can do this for you, let's come on board. 100%. But it's not a lot of people see sales calls and clients as a one-way thing. So it's do you actually say it's a sales call? And it's just ask for a call, because at the end of the day, it's a mutual partnership. You've both got things to gain. It's not you're just bleeding them dry. It's a mutual partnership. And at the end of the day, if you view it that way, it's never gonna be the right thing, because the clients won't view it that way either, and they'll just be dropping off.
I couldn't agree more. I love what you said about you're doing injustice by not following someone up, because that you're absolutely correct. Once you're sure about the results that you can get out, once you know your ability and you're reaching out to companies who you can get results for, it's so frustrating. Just get on a call with me. Let me just show you.
That's it.
I can completely relate to that. So on your calls, did you say you're not trying to book a call? On your emails at the moment, you're not trying to book a call on the first email. You're just trying to strike a conversation with them.
No. So I am inviting it to a call, always straight for a call. So for me, that's what's worked. Is just going straight in for a call. Obviously, pitching the call is you need to make you need to also sell the call, right? So you need to make it worthwhile for them. So you don't want to be like, I'm going to hop on a call so I can sell you. They're going to be like, no. You want to at least make it worth a while. So, usually you want to get the point across that you're an expert, that you can give them value. So even if they hop on that call and then don't want to work with you, they're still going to leave with something valuable that it was worth their time. Because they're not paying for the call, but like time is so important, especially, once you get things going in the business, which most of these brands are, they're running, but it's still kind of in startup mode a lot of the time, where the founders wearing a lot of the hats. So like their time is super, super precious. So it's difficult to get them on. That's why you need to do it that way.
100%. And it's the same for us. Like, I mean, it's so annoying when you like, I'm taking like all the sales calls again at the minute, and so frustrating when you like have a day like Monday. I had a day, I had 3 calls, and all of them, actually, one of them was qualified and we closed, but 2 of them were like the kind of business where you don't want to turn it down because you're like, okay, they could be good. And the website and everything shows right and the reviews and everything look okay. But then there's like one bottleneck in the business, like you can't push through like stock issues or limited supply products and things like that. And you're on the call and you're like, spend half an hour and you're like, oh man, like really, like I've just like wasted so much time on this. And it's just like, you don't want to have that same situation for them. Like equally, you don't want to be the guy that's wasting their time.
That's it. So that was one thing that I noticed was a big thing for me. Like at the start, I'd say, for anyone starting out, I'd say, do not worry too much about it for qualified, purely because one, you probably don't even really understand what's qualified yet. So you're probably going to disqualify people who are. But also like that practice of just like getting people on the phone, talking to them, going through it, like speaking the language, especially in something like e-commerce where it is very technical. You need to learn that as fast as possible. And the best way is to practice. So don't worry too much at first about that. But then for me, I noticed that then it was getting to the point where quite a few more calls were unqualified. And I was like, right, I need to book this up. And I started having to, the same thing, like you said, I kind of came to realization that it's not just wasting my time, it's wasting their time as well. So I started getting to the point where I was like canceling calls. If I could see straight up that they weren't qualified, but it had been booked into my calendar, I'd email and be like, look, like, can definitely see it's not suitable, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you're super busy, value your time. But at the end of the day, like they would appreciate that more than us hopping on, going through like a fake call for half an hour if I know it's not going to work anyway. And wasting both our time. So
100%. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And there's nothing worse than that. So you're like generating like huge amounts of leads every month, like thousands of leads. Presumably you're outsourcing that process. Is it someone in-house you're doing that with? Are you outsourcing that externally? Like, and then are you then going ahead and qualifying all the leads yourself, or are you just depending on someone else to do that for you?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a system really. And it's something that, again, this is something that takes time to build up, but so we've got like, it's not quite in-house, but I've got someone who pretty close to runs kind of like a lead source agency, if you like. But he kind of just, has a few people who works with him and kind of does that. So he's where I get the leads from, but could quite easily have it in-house. It's not really something too complex. And then they're qualified through that process. So we look at stuff like how many Instagram followers they have, whether they've got good content on Instagram, all that kind of good stuff, where they're based, making sure they don't sell like CBD or food is one that's a little bit difficult as well. So to qualified by that point, then usually, the bang on, 95% are going to be qualified. You're always going to get 5% that aren't. You might get a reply and it comes through and you then check them out and you go, yeah, they're not qualified actually. Or, the odd CBD slips through and all that stuff. But it's, at scale, that's going to happen. So it's pretty normal. And then we also have, so I've got 2 full-time VAs who write personalized lines for the emails. So just like a compliment or like an intro, basically, to kind of get that a bit personal as well. And then we use Lemlist to send it out.
Yeah, pretty much identical setup and everything you just said to us. So we've got a lead generation team. Then we have Vincent who goes through, personalizes every email, smashes it on Lemlist, and we get it all out. We used to use GMass, as you know, but like actually moved over recently to Lemlist, which is just so much better. Like I used GMass from like a sales job like years ago, and I was like, okay, cool. And then like I went over to Lemlist. I was like, why have I been using GMass?
Yeah, it's unreal, man. It's so good, and it's so better for making your deliverability on point because it kind of spreads it out throughout the day. It's just like one big blast, and obviously Google's like, that's not real human behavior.
Yeah, it's doing like every 2 minutes or something on Lemlist, isn't it?
Yeah. You can fully spread it out loads. It's and the support's so good as well.
Yeah.
What I found with GMass was to change like the settings and stuff. You have to like email like like these weird like settings, and it was well weird, man. I was like, I don't know what's going on here.
No good. That's not what we want. So you've got a couple of VAs. How's the rest of it looking? So do you deliver the service yourself? Are you doing that, or do you have anyone else in the team? What's the kind of structure when it comes to your team?
Yeah. So in the team, so we do email marketing for a few select type of clients. So we've got an email marketer who kind of handles that. They're not quite full time, but it's only for, our main service is paid ads. So Facebook, sometimes Google as well. Anything else, if it makes sense, like we do TikTok if we've got an amazing organic following on TikTok. But we've got that. Got a full-time media buyer who's on the team. He's at capacity with clients, so I'm handling some of the clients now as well. Because I know how to run ads. So I ran ads for the first quite a few clients because I figured, like, I know a lot of people, especially in e-com, they choose to get a media buyer before they know anything about ads because, they can scale faster, they can use the case studies, all that stuff. But to me, I was like, that's pretty difficult. And at some point, you need to learn ads anyway. So I was like, the best way to learn is just by getting in the deep end of doing it. And it makes everything so much easier. Like 100%. Sales is so much easier because you can literally just open up the ads manager and chat to them and do an audit. And it's so much easier. So yeah, we've got full-time media buyer, currently hiring the second one, probably going to bring another one on pretty soon and look to get them filled up in full-time. And then email marketer as well. And we also have like part-time. So it's done through like a creative agency. So we can handle creative for clients as well, like a partnership there where we basically pay for unlimited creative requests through them as well.
Nice. Okay, that's sweet. Well, I mean, I think one thing that you just said then that really kind of rings true, like something I preach about all the time, is the fact that like you ran ads to start off with, and it is such a beneficial thing because now you can pick up the slack for the team and stuff. But like I think like so many people when they're starting an agency, like, I just want to outsource everything from day one, and it just doesn't work long term. Like there's still people out there that sell that model, like, hey, you can just start an agency and outsource it all. Like, but then what happens when there's an issue? Like, how do you even know there's an issue? Like, how do you know when things are going well, not going well? When you speak to a client and you're selling them on a service that you don't even understand yourself, like it just doesn't make any sense. So like,
everything. Like, how do you even know you're hiring a good media buyer? Because like, not being funny, but case studies, they're all bullshit anyway. Like, all the case studies you see, like, you see a case study, it's like, you got a 40x ROAS. It's like, that's probably just like, the one bottom of funnel ad in there. Like, it's all just like a lot of bollocks anyway. And it's different niches, in it. Like, a case study for high ticket furniture, getting like a 20-30x ROAS is super normal. But you're not going to get that in like, skincare.
No,
it's so competitive.
You're going to get like a 2x if you're lucky.
2, 3. Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's what would be standard. If it's a super good brand, then you can shoot for higher. But that's kind of, it's so you need to be able to understand what it is so you can actually hire the right people. And then, they can become a real team member. Whereas outsourcing, it's never going to work. Client results are going to be trash. And at the end of the day, client results need to be like the number one focus. Obviously, sales are important. Bringing the clients in is super important. Like, it's so necessary. But if you can't actually deliver on that service, it's never going to be a long-term viable business because you're going to be spinning your wheels. Clients going to drop off. Bad reviews are going to be rife. Like it needs, like, that's the one thing that you need to have locked in is the service delivery. You need to make sure that's on point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, your service speaks numbers. I mean, the service is everything. Once you get the service nailed down, like you literally sell yourself. Like referrals and everything are just like absolute king. Like when you get a referral in, it's the easiest client ever. Like even like the outbound sales that we're doing, like some of these calls do not feel like outbound at all because like we've already primed them in our outreach with like a couple of nice screenshots or whatever. I'd shown them like a couple of client ad accounts, and it's just like it's for them. They're already pre-sold on what we can do for them. So just getting them on, we just need to build a relationship with them on the call. So. It's always I think that so many people don't get even to your point where they don't even allow themselves to get a case study to use it because they're so clouded on I need to make $1,000 a month, I need to make $2,000 a month, I need to make $5,000 a month. So just thinking about the revenue, and they're turning away so many business or like burning so many leads because they're trying to be greedy. Whereas like the case study is everything at the start. 100%. That's kind of my next goal is to properly build out a lot of that side. So get a lot of case studies, get a lot of reviews from our clients. Probably look to build out like a VSL where we go through our process, show the case study, show the inside of the ad accounts, that kind of stuff. That's kind of like my next goal to have that in place for Q1 next year. Because by that point, like I'll have my media buyer on, he'll be fully trained by that point.
And then it'll be a case of filling him up. So everything in like social proof is so important, especially now in the agency space. Like there's so many shit agencies who just like rip people off and don't like what we were describing before, where they don't even understand anything about service. They just get a random contractors, like smash down the service, the outreach, and then don't deliver. And it's basically a scam.
You'd be shocked at how many like what other people would perceive as big agencies are like that as well. Like I've come through, I've seen so many, I've had so many discussions with clients where we're like taking on clients from like, because it's very incestuous. Like people come from if there's a bad agency, like people taking clients from everywhere, right? But like there's a big agency without name names. There's a big agency in Sheffield that like actually like genuinely a big agency. I've like worked with massive corporate companies, so that they do like 10 to 50 mil a year, like good revenue, and they had a client that came over to us and they were just like, their ROAS was like 1.4x or something. And they were basically saying, oh, you'll never be profitable again. iOS 14 has ruined your ad account. You'll never be profitable. Like no matter what you do. And like, we're on like a 3x within like 2 weeks of working with them. And these are huge agencies. Like other agencies, you look up to them. You'd be like, oh, they're really good. They've got it worked out. And then the same things like that. And it's just like an absolute shock. The same with like other like gurus online. I've taken so many clients off other gurus. Like the amount of time they'll be like, oh, this agency. I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm just taking it. And it's like, oh yeah, we caught this person just outsourcing it to India and they didn't running the ads themselves. And it's just like, but there's so much fakery around the space. So it is really tough. But then if you are the voice of reason when you speak to clients and you reason with them, you say, look, do you know what? I actually the best thing to do if someone says to you, look, I'm fed up working with agencies, but I completely understand. Like it frustrates the hell out of me that I have to have this discussion every day because the majority of the people in my industry don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. That's it. Well, when I actually started building out a team, I actually built out like, a mission statement and stuff like that. And the statement is that we work hard to become the most client-centric and results-driven e-commerce marketing agency whilst restoring faith in the marketing agency industry. Nice. It's because there's no faith in it because like 90% of the agencies just rip people off. So that's why I've got that. And a lot of people that a lot of like potential, media buyers that have been interviewing, they've all been like, I really resonate with that mission statement. Like I hate it as well. It is like every single founder you speak to, it's like a given. You can literally guarantee that they've worked with an agency before and have hated it. So it's like, it's crazy, man. But yeah, it's basically a scam.
But the business is you offer performance-based deals as well, which is where you're putting your money where your mouth is. So like that's another big selling point. Like a lot of agencies aren't confident to do that. We've introduced minimum ROAS deals with some of our clients that we set a minimum amount, they break even. We don't even charge them if we don't make over that. So like little things like that, when you gain confidence in like certain niches, it just propels you above everything else. So what's the step from here then? I mean, you've got it figured out. I mean, it's January to now. You've scaled up to a very respectable level. Are you just continuing what you're doing? Is there like a plan? I know you said you're going to have the BSL coming in, so presumably you're going to start running ads for the agency. But what's the plan going forward? I know you said you're moving to Mexico as well, which is exciting.
Yeah. So moving to Mexico. So like my girlfriend works online as well. And my girlfriend's Mexican. She lives here with me. So we were like, may as well head over there for a bit while we can. And to be honest, it'll make it way easier because time zone is nice. Like 11 out of the 12 clients we've got are 10 out of the 12 are in the US.
Right. Cool.
So like, having not too many calls, but like all of our client check-in calls are in the evening, all of our, because 5 p.m. for us is 9 a.m. in PST. So there's like, a 3-hour block where we can get sales calls in with people over there, client calls, stuff like that. So heading over there will make it way easier. So in terms of next steps in the agency, it's really a case of building out the team so we can, so we can operate at scale. Like what I really like, if you've not gathered from this call, I really hate the premise of agencies who just sign clients and do not care about delivering results. So definitely do not want to build out the team completely and properly before we kind of start to scale up further because don't want to be in a position where, client results are taking a hit. That's always number one focus. So build all that team, get that on, then get them filled up with clients. And then it'll be a case of, kind of structuring things out. So maybe moving one to like a CMO or, kind of like what Joe does for you guys.
Yeah.
So I can because at the minute I'm kind of acting as that. So, get all that sorted so then I can kind of take a bit more of a bird's eye view of things.
Yeah.
And then that's when things will, then my main job will be focusing on optimizing the whole system. So, leadership, making sure the team's running well, hiring, solving those main things really. That I think as like CEO or whatever, that's like really what you want to mainly be doing. Yeah. You don't want to be working like in it. You want to be working on it, like, optimizing, getting everyone working at 100% efficiency. Yeah. Rather than you being the bottleneck yourself within the business.
100%, man. Yeah. I think your role has always got to be driving the business forward. Because no one else is ever going to be as invested in that as you're going to be. You can't expect anyone you hire to be as invested into growing it. So yeah, I think that's mega important. What would your advice be to someone who's just starting their agency? Because this to you is still like very fresh in your mind. So what would you say to someone who's like just starting out? What would be maybe the 3 things that somebody needs to bear in mind for them to be successful?
Yeah. So like one thing would be mindset, right? And I say that in like inverted commas because there's so much like woo-woo bullshit around, mindset and all this stuff. But like mindset in the wave that I remember when I wanted to start my agency, my goal was to make $4,000 a month because that seemed like a lot of money. And I was like, cool, like that'd be great. But it's like, that is like absolutely nothing in like what you can do in this. And like, so quickly I've realized that, and that was holding me back a lot. Like it's really, and it's hard to get over that though, because you can tell yourself and you can listen to me saying it, but it's hard to actually do it. And the only way really I found was like, you need to become that person by just doing the work and understanding that you can do that. And also actually looking at other people, like watching videos like these, that helped a lot. Because I was like, oh yeah, wow, they've done it in this time frame. Maybe I can do the same if I work hard. So that's one for sure. Yeah. Another one is just like work ethic. Again, it sounds cheesy, but you need to just like trust the process and know that it's going to work. Because like, the growth is like pure hockey stick. It's not like this, it's just not. It's like you do 99% of the work, and then in that last 1%, all the results come in. So it's a case of like understanding that, knowing that that's how it's going to happen, and not getting attached to the numbers as your progress meter, but like instead looking at what you've learned, how you're progressing like internally, and what you're actually building out. Because the numbers mean nothing, man. Like they mean absolutely nothing. It really doesn't. So it's really a case of like, I know, there's a lot of agencies, like I said, they're making a lot of revenue, but in terms of like a long-term business model, it's not there because they don't have any proper systems built out to actually handle the clients. So it's really a case of looking at your progress in the right way.
100%. Mate, I completely agree with like the mental barriers thing. Right, there's so many people that create these mental barriers based on finances, like you said, like about 4K, and then what you end up doing is if 4K is your goal, then you treat 1K as reaching 25% of your goal. So 1K is like becomes this like this big thing, this really important thing, where it's like, if you just get rid of any kind of like, I think it's important to have financial goals. I think it's good to have something to work towards, but like you're better off setting it at like 10K or whatever to start off with, and then just go from there. But like very quickly, financial goals go, like you kind of lose them because you get past a certain point, like in the agency, like once you're making above 10K, you're living a very comfortable lifestyle. Like you don't really have to worry. And then like scaling the agency, if you have any kind of financial goals, you kind of limit your growth. Like it was only a couple of weeks ago that me and Joe had this meeting. We're like we've been doing like 100K a month profit in the agency, and we're like, okay, what's the next step? And we've made this plan to now scale to 7 figures a month. And I know exactly what we need to do to get there. But we were like kind of having a conversation. And we're like, I don't know why we haven't done this sooner or planned this all out. Yes, we only just started making that kind of money within the last 6 months. But at the same time, like we didn't even believe it was maybe even possible like 6 months ago. But it's just a mental barrier. It's literally just ramping it up. Once you can systemize it all, once you have the ability to deliver results, which is the most important thing, because you're absolutely correct. If you can't deliver results, the whole thing will come tumbling down. Like you only need one big client to like slander you or whatever, and not even slander you, just say that you're shit. And everything can start like crumbling. So that is very important. But once you have that nailed down, like we've got it nailed. Like we know what we need to do to keep hiring and exactly how we need to train them and so on and so forth. Then it's just a numbers game, and the only thing that will stop you is like mental barriers.
100%. And where I see that as well is similar, but on the other side in profit margins. So I see a lot of people who are really, really, really keen to like keep the profit margins as high as possible. Whereas like in like a real business, that's just not going to be the case. Like, like at some point you're going to, you might be at a certain level, you might have, super high profit margins, but for you to get to the next level, you're probably going to have to, bring on a new team member or invest in growth in some way, and your profit margins will dip until you reach that next level, and then they'll increase again. So it's like people get too caught up on doing that. And like you say, they restrict the growth because they don't want to invest in what they're doing. Like for me right now, I've literally not even paid myself out of my agency yet. Literally not even paid myself. Yeah, literally not even paid myself. Like I'm only going to start doing it now because like, again, in my mind, as soon as I got over that mental barrier, I was like, I'm really not bothered about paying myself because I know that I'm going to be making 100K, 200K, 500K a month eventually, within a relatively short time frame in my life. So I was like, I really don't care. Like I'm just living off savings and what's left of my student loan. And I'm like, I'm really not bothered. Like now I'm in this position where I can start paying myself, which is sweet. But like really, like we were saying, money isn't like, obviously money is my motivator, like in one level, but my like enjoyment and like my satisfaction from my job, from what I do with this, isn't money. Like it's building the agency, it's seeing it grow. It's like have a real passion for this, and then the money is just like a sweetener. Like 100%. Like I'd probably do it without if the money was a lot less, just because of how fun it is. Like I absolutely love it.
Completely agree. Like I'm quite fortunate to have like a couple of additional revenue streams, right? With Learn Ads and the Academy or whatever, right? So like the Academy, like I don't actually pay myself from that business. So like I don't have. It's like, whilst I am Joe's very money motivated in the Academy and the agency, but like I am, but like it's more about like how big, like what kind of results can we get? Like how passionate are the team? Like we've got like when we have team meetings and stuff, like we've just literally bought everyone in the company VR glasses because we're gonna be having our team meetings on VR every Monday.
Oh, on the metaverse.
Yeah, mate, this is like the Oculus Quest, so it's Facebook's thing, and they have workplaces, so you like sit in an office and stuff, and like I just love the company culture that we're building, and I love like that when we'll go for a beer together or whatever, and we'll do like a biannual like meetup, and we just have a good time. And I love that side of the business. Like some of the clients, I'll jump in on a client call because I don't always jump on calls, but I'll jump on and just see how much the clients love Joe, Tom, Seb, like the people that are managing their accounts. Like they adore them. Like I went on to a client the other day who we literally have had now for almost 2 years, longest standing client. And she was on there and she was like, Jordan, like I see these guys as my children. She's like I love them like they're my family. She's like, I would never leave you guys, like ever. And we scaled her business from like 5K to like well over 100K a month. Like, and we're still scaling her up. But it's not even that. It's just that she jumps on a call with these guys every now and then. She speaks to them on WhatsApp, and she just built such a great relationship. And I think like it's so nice as an agency when you can build really good, meaningful relationships with people. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the most important things that I look for when I'm hiring. So it's not really like experience, because I'm in a nice position where I can teach someone, I can train them up. So I'm happy to take someone outside this experience, but it's really, are they hardworking? Do they really want to work here? And are they going to be able to build a good relationship with the client? Because that's super, super important to me. So, I've got amazing relationship with the clients we've got. That's one thing that I don't want to have to give up. I'm going to hold on to that as long as I can, is having a relationship with them, because it's so good. Especially like you say, some of the bigger clients are pretty sweet. Like one of our clients is paying us like around $4,000 a month dollars, which is pretty sweet. But they're not really the one that get the most satisfaction out of. It's really the small, the smaller ones where you actually have a real transformation on their business. And, like for them, they might have even been working like a part-time job, and now they can leave the job and they can just focus on that because they can actually pay themselves from helping grow the business in it. And it's a super good feeling.
100%. We've got a client like that in a minute. Young lad, started an e-com business. He was like, he was running the ads himself, doing like $3,000 a month, not very profitable, like at all, because like profit margins like 40% or whatever. And we've already scaled him up within 3 weeks to his first £1,000 days, which is amazing. And like he's blowing up our phone like 24/7. Like, guys, look at this. And he's like sending pictures of him in the office, like sending out all this stuff. And it's just like you can relive that excitement through someone. That phase. When it starts to click with the agency and you're first getting clients and you're like, I'm on my way now. Like this is. And you can relive that process through other people, like constantly when you sign up new clients. And it's a great feeling. And it doesn't always go that way. Like, it doesn't, don't get me wrong. Like, not every client you work with, you're going to get amazing results for. Sometimes some external force will come into play, and for whatever reason, it's a struggle. And that's the reality of it as well. But as long as you have a good relationship with those people, there are other ways that you can help them.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. So definitely that's one reason why I do think the classic Facebook ad agency is like dead, because Facebook ads isn't too complicated anymore. And as we can see, like, Facebook's making things a lot more mandatory, like having, like detailed target expansion is on.
Yeah.
It's going to get to the point where a lot of it's going to be fairly easy to actually use the media buying skills, as it were, aren't super important. But that actual premise of being a good, solid marketer all round is never going to be a skill that is not super necessary. Yeah. And that's why for us, like, yes, we're on Facebook ads. That's it for some clients, but we take a deep dive into like every area of their business, and we are almost like a business consultant at hand. So anything they need, we'll take a look at their emails that we're running. We'll take a look at like everything in the back end, all the website, everything that they're doing. Because at the end of the day, that also you're so much more valuable to them at the end of the day. So
I think that's definitely the long-term play for any agency. I do think that still Facebook ads are a nice place for people to start, but I think as soon as you get clients and you get that experience, it's great for you to branch out into other things. Now, I don't think an agency should offer every single service under the sun, because equally then you can like eat into your profit so much that you screw yourself over. But there's so many strategic partnerships you can build with like outsourcing certain things. But I think that, like, for example, like what you said, with us, we offer all ad platforms. We do TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, Google, and Facebook, obviously Instagram. And so we offer that round kind of omnipresence, but we've started doing email marketing, we've started doing website stuff and all of those things, but we actually just have a strategic partnerships that we essentially white label those two. But because we do so much for these clients, again, exactly the same thing. We dive deep into like the ins and outs of a business and not just treat it face value for any ads, because at the end of the day, the ads is the icing on the cake. The rest of the business needs to slot into place for everything to be profitable.
Yeah.
We've been offered equity multiple times, and that's something we'll explore later down the line. Like, it's easier to sign people up. We've got a couple of clients on revenue minus ad spend deals instead of just return on ad spend. It's like overall. Yeah,
that's what all of our ROAS deals are, revenue after ad spend. So we do that because if it's just revenue, your interests aren't aligned, and you can just push for more ad spend, and their profit margin might be going down, and their total revenue after ad spend might be peanuts, but you can take all of it. So for us, that's the most important way for it to be aligned is all of it is always a % after after the ad spend.
Nice. And that's definitely the best way to do things.
I
mean, like you're offering so much to someone, and it makes you unleavable. Like when you're offering so much to someone, like even just mentally offering so much to someone, you're like their marketing crux, then they will not leave you for another agency. You've established a relationship. They're never going to go. The only chance that person has of going is by training someone in-house, which they're going to have to pay you to do anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely the way forward for sure.
Cool. Mate, I'm conscious of time because I've got a sales call in 8 minutes. So, Eve, firstly, thank you so much for doing this interview. Like, I feel like we could talk for another hour on a whole bunch of shit. But if people want to just follow your journey, see how you're getting on, obviously I'll put a link to your website in the description. What kind of platforms would be best for them to check you out on?
Mainly Instagram. To be honest, I'm not really active on socials like this exercise. And relationships with like family and my girlfriend are really my life. But probably as I go to Mexico,
sounds like the right things to prioritize.
Yeah, definitely. That's really it. I don't really like to get involved in other stuff. But as I go to Mexico, probably will start to look, building a bit more of the social presence. But Instagram would be the one. So that's literally just Ciaran Finn X with like an X after my name. Yeah. That'd pretty much probably be it for now. Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll put some links in the description.
Yeah, man.
Right, man. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this interview. Make sure you go check out Ciaran and look out for that clouty content when he's in Mexico, posting that laptop lifestyle. Sweet, guys. Ciaran, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, man. Cheers for having me on.